Hello, everyone, and welcome to another panel discussion. And we can see that we have our amazing AI starting with us. So I will do the hide non-video participant. Excellent. It is in the age of AI. Welcome, everyone, to another panel discussion at edubridges with some inspirational and amazing panelists. Today's session is about a topic that is dear not to my heart, I guess, dear to everybody's heart, especially in today's time and age where well-being is important, yet not always achieved because of the fast pace, because of so many things that we are facing in our lives. So first off, I will introduce our panelists very briefly and give them the opportunity to present themselves more and their relationship to well-being. And I'll start with ladies first. Miss Mary Alfons is, by the way, today the three of our panelists have been spotlighted in edubridges Spotlight. So I call and invite each and every person who's listening to this, if you're interested in an inspirational story, inspirational insights, and lessons learned in regards to teaching, learning, and everything in between, as well as well-being, watch those spotlights. So Miss Mary Alfons, Mr. Malek Zwein, and Mr. Hatem Radwan. Malek is the guru and the father of Biology of Wellbeing. Mary is the inspirational advocate for students' well-being, and Hatem is the connection in between, the biology teacher who's also worked with positive education. So please, Mary, do you mind introducing yourself first?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Rana. Good morning, Mr. Malek, Mr. Hatem, everybody participant. My name is Mary Alfons. I am a ESL coordinator and homeroom teacher so far. I used to live before in US. Now I live here in Saudi Arabia for almost 18, now 19 years. Let me just go very quick. I was not planning to be a teacher at all, but for somehow, the Gulf situation, I'm here as a teacher. But so far, I am so lucky to be a teacher, so lucky to deal with the kids. And according to our topic today, I maybe represented the practical way of Mr. Malek will give the ideas. I think I have all the practical cases or the practical things in my classroom. So that's so far about me. I hope you will enjoy today with us, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Nice having you on board, and I'm sure everybody will leave with great inspirational information and stories. Mr. Malek, Biology of Wellbeing man.
Good morning, Professor Anna. Good morning, Mr. Marian, Mr. Hatem, and good morning for everyone listening for us. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Dr. Anna, for shedding the light on the biology of well-being. It is something like very close to my heart that I developed with years. I introduce myself as husband and father for 3 kids, and I am a biology educator since 2010, starting from Saudi Arabia and then moving to UAE in 2017. In 2017, I become more involved in teacher training. So with my close relation to teachers, I start to hear more about their challenge, their struggle. And later, like as I see myself like doing hard in the profession and my health like start to decrease, as I will define, it start my biology to work. So I try to combine my knowledge in biology into some practical way. And it came the idea of biology of well-being that combine my knowledge in biology, my research, with the practical way we can implement in school and educators. So the program is like developing with time, and we are
Yeah.
nothing, of course, We know, like as scientists, nothing is sure. Always we are updating our information based on the new knowledge, but we are like sharing general insight that may be helpful for everyone, hopefully to improve his health and performance.
Thank you, Malek. It's very important and amazing. The fact I really love the fact that you went beyond the well-being purely as let's remove stress and let's talk about how we can control through the knowledge of biology. And we'll be talking about this more. Hatem.
First of all, it's again a great pleasure, Dr. Rana, to join you
Thank
for
you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Malik and Mary, and everyone from the attendees. Short, quick, I am a biology teacher who had, like anyone else, their own 15 years journey in education, where we took different path, but at the root of what we do is educating and supporting students. So throughout my experience, I work as well-being and positive education coordinator in Dubai. And then I moved outside the classroom to be working with NetDragon in education technology as the director of education strategy and digital transformation. What's good about well-being is it didn't leave and stayed at the school. It's something that we take wherever we go. And this is something that I'm happy to share today and discuss and raise the awareness about. It's not in the context of education only, in the context of what's happened between teachers and students. It's actually, maybe it will start there, spark there, and we take it everywhere else. And again, thank you, Mr. Malik, for maybe igniting this spark of discussion, which I believe it has to be a continuous one, so that we can have the benefit and impact of it. So welcome, everyone, and thank you again, Dr. Rana.
Okay, so let us start this. And Mary, we don't mean anything, but you have 3 biologists on this session. So Amrik la Allah. I originally in a previous life was a biology teacher, so this is definitely dear to my heart. Okay. Mary, I'll start with you. And my question for you is, with your passion for supporting well-being at the school level, like with students and with teachers, how do you define well-being, and why do you believe it's foundational for both students and teachers?
I will talk very personal about it. I was thinking about how to describe the concept. For me, I think the word can describe it is comfortable. Comfortable to teach, comfortable to learn, comfortable to to be heard, to listen, to engage, to speak out my ideas, comfortable to express myself in both sides, as a teacher or as a student. So I think the word comfortable is very big and common, that it's okay, I can do this. And the teacher or the students can feel emotionally secured, mentally balanced, and socially connected. So I think this is the definition I can see.
Very interesting, short, succinct, but yet so deep, because it carries so much. Okay, with that definition, I'm not sure how on your sides, Hatem and Malek. So I want to move to Hatem and say, with your interest in well-being and educational technology and the positive education, why do you see it as an urgent priority for educators and students in our tech-integrated world?
I want to admire Mary for the ability to give that efficient answer in a short time, which teachers can do, actually. That's why I will manage myself not to speak much, because I've prepared a lot of ideas. Before I speak about the urgency to speak about well-being, take a step back and think about the definition, but from biology perspective, very briefly, because I believe the understanding of what is well-being will allow us to understand its value. And before we put it in the context of education, let's speak about well-being of humans. And definitely, I'm not going to dive deep into what Malek is going to inspire us, but I want to define it from my background, from my experience as a state, as a fluctuating state, a dynamic state of living. And when we call it a state, it means it is influenced or impacted by other factors. So if we ask ourselves before we speak about why we need well-being, what influence well-being in our world today, which is different from what was influencing our well-being before? And this is where education technology brings the discussion to the table. So well-being, when we think about well-being, it's the physical, the mental, the emotional, the social well-being. These four domains exist in our life, whether we are at home, at school, whatever we are doing, wherever we go. These four domains actually represent a stimulus or stimuli for our body. And we respond to that. And again, I'm using some biology terms because it's important to understand the biology of well-being. So if we think about the education technology environment, what triggers our emotional, our mental, our physical, and our social well-being at school in the era of education technology? And before we speak about that, if we look at the past 5 years, there is a lot of focus around well-being at school. And there is a reason behind that. It didn't come without a big reason, which is the COVID and the high adoption of technology into education. There was a need that time in order to move into more tech-oriented education system. And unfortunately, the focus on well-being took a route as if it's a part of what we do at school. And we started thinking about, for example, well-being coordinator, which is excellent step. But to my point, it's not enough because well-being has to be generalized on everyone. And I hope that our understanding for well-being must be not linked to people who have a knowledge in biology or a knowledge in positive education. It's everyone's mission for their personal fulfillment. So I think well-being, it's a road for flourishment. If we need to flourish, whatever we do, we need to think about taking care of well-being. And today it's more important than before because of the constant digital overload. And this is where we speak about the impact of technology is having at schools. So the increased adoption of technology, the using of smartphones with kids or children from the age of 10 and 11. So there is a lot of stimuli, a lot of information they are collecting just by looking at this device. So there is an urgency to look at that and understand how this can impact their well-being, their emotional, social. The second part is definitely the emotional and social disconnection. When we move into more digital world, there is a challenge and opportunity. What we are doing today is definitely an opportunity. We are using the technology to be connected from different countries. But at the same time, we all know that technology can put people in isolation. So well-being in our era is so important in order to break this disconnection, social and emotional, which represent two important domains in well-being. And the third point, so that I won't keep it a long point, it's the rising and increasing of burnout and fatigue. Moving into more digital world, most of our work is done over the internet and over the devices. And this puts us in a state where work is everywhere with us. And I want to mention a project just came to my mind. My student 3 years back did in the high school, which was the impact of notification, which is a very simple feature that alarms you about something. It has a very negative impact on your focus, on your stress level, because when you hear a notification from your phone, you are distracted to know what is happening. And our biology, our body system doesn't understand what it is. It understands it might be something serious. So it will add a small layer, small drop of stress. And imagine these drops are adding again and again throughout the day. So that's why it's so important. We are diving into more digital world. It's so important to care our well-being in this context. But again, before that, and this is the importance of biology of well-being, build a foundation about what our body does to respond to that so that we know how to deal with it.
An amazing introduction to Mr. Malek's Mr. Malek's insights and his question. Hatem, what you are raising are extremely important aspects, and I think everybody who's listening totally hears what you are saying regarding the fast-paced and the need to focus on this well-being part. And because you finished and because we started with the importance of the biology side, and this is where we're trying to focus today, I wanted Malek's insights to be the last with regards to the definition as we delve into the next phase. But so Malek, as someone who is starting this baby biology of well-being, and I have to be honest, I've heard a lot about well-being, but the first time I did hear about the biology of well-being, even though I am a biology teacher originally, was through you and from you. So as somebody who is putting your experience, heart and soul into biology of well-being, let's start with how you define biology of well-being and why is it essential for students and teachers. And at the present time, we're talking with educators. So why is it essential for educators to be aware of the foundations of the biology of well-being?
Thank you, Dr. Rana. Thank you, Mr. Hatem and Ms. Mary, for your insightful definition. I like also to start from where Mr. Hatem said something very important, like it is a state of mind. So this is something really important because when I reflect the well-being on my own experience, I can see that it is something that should be continue with us as we grow old. So it is not something like temporary or something it is occasional or from time to time. It is like a state of mind followed by many actions that will fuel us during our day. So like every one of us wake up in the morning, like having some amount of energy, and this amount of energy he need to regulate and to try to distribute over the whole day. So this amount of energy, when we understand the biology behind it, we can at least, as we charge our phone to make sure it is 100% as we wake up, we have to make sure that our battery also is fueled like 100% as we wake up, at least 90%, let's say, and we charge it maybe during the day or we use it. So understanding the biology is about understanding like the emotional, the mental, and especially the physiological system in our body. Once we understand how these systems will work, we are more likely to give them or to provide them with the necessary material and necessary, let's say, nutrients or the necessary sleep to help us to perform better during our day. So, and this knowledge, of course, is something mental. Like everyone, for example, here, like that exercise is important, or sleep is important, or nutrition is important. But why it is important? This is a question. How it affect, for example, our system? Why, for example, let's say we have to maintain insulin level low, for example, how it affect our hormones. So all this knowledge, it is maybe sometimes referred to expert, but it is a right for everyone to know. So my knowledge about them helped me a lot to take many daily actions that help me to stay more energetic during the day and to feel like I can not just spend my energy during the day or drain it, I can recharge my energy also with some daily action. So these steps, including like, for example, some movement that we incorporate, let's say in the school, we will talk more about later. But it is like how we keep our energy during the day high, let's say, or at least we do not drain it out by the end of the day, so we can give the right energy for our student, for our family, for ourselves, in a way that every day we try to improve it, or at least to maintain this energy.
Thank you, Malek. As you were talking, something that came to mind was a memory from a previous life when we were young. I know that the younger generation now, or the many of the people who are attending might not have experienced this, but I would like to get some raised hands if attendees have experienced this when they were young. How many of you were driving, like as children, would be in a car with your parents driving up the mountains? Particularly for us in Lebanon, there were a lot of mountains, and suddenly the car would heat up, and my dad would have to stop on the side of the road, open the Hanan already raised her hand. Open up sandu up front and add water to the radiator to cool it down. And in a way, yes, and at the present time, we're in a period where this doesn't happen much. We don't see it, but realistically speaking, it is happening on the inside. We are burning. Like, if we're thinking of a car that is just a machine, it heats up. How about us as humans? And we do need to understand what's happening. And the reason why I remembered this was other individuals might not know what exactly to do, but if somebody knew what was the process, a mechanic could definitely, my dad was a handyman, he would know exactly what to do, stop on the side and add water, because they understood the process that's happening in the car and what to do. And in a way, as you were talking, Malek, that's what came to mind. We need to understand what's happening in our body as a machine and how it works to help it
Yeah.
continue and not burn
Exactly.
out.
As what the system, how they function our body. And this is like will lead us to the second part of the question, like how this knowledge will help students and teachers like understand their biological function. For example, yesterday I give you an example. Yesterday, Thursday, like one of my students like having secretly a Red Bull in his bag. So of course, like as a biology teacher, I have a rule in the class. I allow my student to eat if the food is healthy, like it is the standard. So he was not trying to drink it. So this kind of, for example, energy drink, or a student think like as is promoted for it as its energy drink. They do not understand, for example, behind the amount of sugar hidden in it, the amount of caffeine, for example. So taking, for example, any opportunity sometime from any behavior in the class to explain for the student why, for example, this product is not healthy. It's not just to say it's not healthy or it is not for you. Even student, for example, grade 7, grade 6, even or higher, they have logic in their mind. When we explain for them this logic behind their, for example, behavior that we do not allow, for example, so they are more likely to start to change these habits for the better. Even for teachers, for example, like when I say, for example, have the meeting when you are walking. For example, this meeting, the same meeting, have it during walking for your colleague, for example. Or so these small actions that maybe, for example, are very microscopic sometimes, but they can impact their general well-being in a very effective way, and this is well reflected on their classroom and their teaching and learning also.
Amazing examples, because each and every opportunity is a teaching moment or a learning moment that we can benefit from. And the power of small habits, Atomic Habits, I'm not sure how many have read that book, but yes, we can change and have better understandings and change slightly to reach more bigger impact. So this is for the definition. I'm not sure if any of the participants would want to ask any question with regards to the definition or a reflection with regards to the definition. Please put it in the Q&A space before we move to the next topic of today's presentation, which is biology of well-being in educational settings. I saw Vera's hand. Vera, do you have a question? Let me see. I would like to try today to have a bit more interaction if possible, because this is a topic that is dear to everybody's heart. So if somebody would like to ask a question, raise your hand. I'll give you up capacity to talk, and let's have it in like audio question. Anybody has any particular question or comment? No worries at all, Vera. Okay. So if anybody wants to have a question, please just raise your hand, or to contribute with a comment, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay.
Doctor, can I ask them if they have any situation like in a practical life in their classes, they can share with us something positive, something was not expected, something like that, so we can all share from the real life what happened in your you as a teacher or as a person or as whatever, something happened to you, you can share it with us in the place that we can all maybe have something that we can discuss about it. So
wonderful. So if anybody would like to share an example, just put it in the Q&A. Unfortunately, the chat has been disabled. I tried to activate it, but it'll lead us somewhere else, so I'd rather not do that. Okay. So I would like to go with Hatem. Okay. When we talk about the technological advancements, I know you said there are opportunities and challenges, but at the same time, everybody says let's take advantage and benefit from the technology that we have at hand. So the question is, how can we benefit from technology in creating a school-wide environment that supports well-being and that supports the positive context? The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, as we discussed today, I believe that each one has their own experience, and what I would like to share is my own experience. And it's important to reflect. Reflection is so important, and that's why I think the term, when you ask the attendees to reflect, this is a practice that we need to have in everything we do. And I know from an educator perspective that reflection was a big thing when it comes to inspection. When we have inspection, they look at the reflection of the session. But if we ask ourselves, if we have educators or anyone who's joining us, how much time we invest from the day to reflect on what we are doing and what we were doing. The reflection is part of the well-being practices and habits. And I think I'm taking this example because we do it at school for a purpose, which is to make sure that our lesson is well structured. I'm sure that a lot of educators, they do it for its benefit. But if it is not a built-in policy in the school structure or let me call it the framework of the teacher practices in the classroom, it will remain a personal effort. And I've met a lot of educators, and I'm happy to see one of my colleagues attending this session, who is an advocate for well-being, Mira Alamuddin. We used to do this before we were promoted to become positive education coordinators. So we used to reflection, it has a big value because this is where we collect insights. So I'm taking this example to mention the value of decision makers understanding that investment in well-being, and when I say investment, it doesn't mean money. Investment is knowledge. Investment is time. Investment is we allocate efforts, we allocate expertise to come and speak with teachers around well-being. And unfortunately, from my own experience, I would say I didn't see this big value in the decision-making when it comes to planning. So there is a lot of planning around everything, and well-being might take a part within the well-being or SEL department, which they are doing excellent work. But if we want to have an impact at a wide range, this definitely has to be scaled to each and every member at the school, including the worker, including the janitor, including everyone within the community. And if you have any comment, Dr. Rana, because
it's not a comment. Once you finish, I'll tell you what I have in mind.
So, since you asked your question around how we do this as a school-wide practice, I'm going to bring to the table the biology of well-being can be a part of a school practices under the notion of positive education. And this takes me back to 2008, the first positive education school in the world in Australia. It's called Geelong Grammar School. They have practiced and deployed positive well-being throughout a period of time, and it became like maybe the model which was applied in different schools. And there is a school in Dubai which is called Sunmark School that are applying. So I visited that school to understand how do they look after well-being. So it's not just well-being practice, it's a positive education concept where it goes into the curriculum mapping, it goes into the lesson planning, it goes into the detention, which is not called detention, by the way, practices, how they deal with problems. It goes into how we speak, how we write policies. These little things, as Malek was saying, that small changes, but there is someone who's looking after that. They have big impact. For example, giving a positive feedback to a student who is doing well, rather than highlighting a student who's not doing well in the classroom. These small changes, actually, I know teachers, they are overloaded. They don't have time to invest. So my last recommendation for that is we must not wait for a policy or a handbook with well-being practices to come to our hand. And this is where the technology comes. We do have access. We all have access to practices, technologies. And I think I will try to wrap with this a kind of mechanism that we can apply. Knowledge is there, but practices isn't there. Implementation isn't there. Educators, they have a big role in doing the transfer part. And they only do it by sharing experience, not knowledge. And this is what Malek, I've learned from Malek, that he shares his experience. I see his stories running and doing sports. I see his passion. And this is where I learn. And this is, we know how our students learn. So if we think about technology, yes, it can help us build the foundation, build the knowledge, build understanding of well-being and positive education. After that, we have to take our own actions and build our own habits. And this is where we are ready to stand in front of the students and transfer these habits. And this is where they are going to learn. And this is where the impact can happen. I don't see it as a knowledge transfer. I see it as an experience transfer where it's the most efficient. And I think this is so educational, proved that experience can teach more than just knowledge.
Excellent points raised. And it is a mentality. It is a push that we need to put into the whole intentional change that we have to put there. I have a question from Mirna. She agrees with Hatem, but the question is, how do we push decision makers into investing in well-being? Anyone would like? I'd like to throw this to Mary, if you don't mind.
First of all, yeah, Mr. Hatem, thank you so much. You brought up a very important thing about schools. Actually, to be honest, they are not still aware of whatever we are talking about. The most important thing is the plan to be finished. The kids will do this, blah, 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 the timetable, completely not aware of this. And again, we are as a teachers and with our kids, thank you, yeah, Dr. Rana, when you said we are not a machine. And by the way, it came to my head now, if we just bought a new device, what is the first thing that you will do? You will read the manual. That's the same thing with the kids. Just read about them, know about them, especially with different levels. If they are young learners or high schoolers or middle schoolers, that they are not kids and they are not adults. So you have to learn about them so it will be easy for you to deal with them, to make it easy for yourself and for them. make your classroom ready for their physical movement, because sometimes they have even a science of seating, where to put your chairs so that kids can reach you easily. This would make it easy for them to reach you. There is too many stuff in school they still cannot help, especially with decision makers. They, not all, but yes, it's not top priority now. But as Mr. Hatem said, let's start with ourselves.
I think Mary froze, but yeah, but I think she's talking about something extremely important with regards to starting with ourselves. And I believe it's always the case. We need to start with ourselves. Yes, Mary, now we can hear you once again. No, we can't hear you. Can you mute and unmute once again?
Yes, now I can hear.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes. So you were saying start with ourselves.
This has to start. I will tell you something happened practically in my school one day. I was very overwhelmed with nobody's helping. I'm here alone. I have to do this. I have to do that. Nobody is aware of whatever we are doing. I saw some kids, they are not treated with the way it's supposed to be. The most important thing is this. So I was like, let me start with myself, see how it's gonna work, especially during recess time. They are fighting, they're doing this, so let me try to tell them what to do. Easily relax, let's do this, let's do song, let's do practice, whatever. Anyway, so I started to do this with them at the beginning, and then I shared nicely, how about everybody during the break time we can introduce something to the, especially boys, because their break, it was very hard. So how about you start to apply my strategy? What do you think? I need everybody, if you can help me from tomorrow. After a while, when I get a little bit emotional with something, I was like, can you guys please, I'm gonna share some ideas that will make it easy in your classroom and easy for everybody that to relax, and we can do this. What do you think? If you want to do it, you're more than welcome. Actually, it was helping me a lot, especially with the calm down strategies or whatever. What do you think? And somehow it reached to the higher authority make decisions, and they
leadership.
Yeah, they start. Yeah, why not, guys? Can you try to follow this? To be honest, it's still not easy to do this, but it's okay. You can offer your ideas that we need from next year, like Mr. Hatem mentioned, that needs to be in the curriculum, needs to be in the input that we need, their physical, their emotion, their social. It's part of the education. After Corona, they are behind devices. They have zero communication. They cannot even communicate with each other. And again, the biology, like Mr. Malek was saying about everything in their body, the way they are eating, it's affecting their behavior. As well. When I have the parents coming to us with the lunch box full of Nutella and blah and blah, and the school allowed no problem. Not my school, but I mean in general. One of the things that should go note, this is not supposed to be, it's affecting their behavior. So it's not easy, but I am sure in recent time they will be aware of it. So don't lose hope. It will be okay.
I'd like to pick up on what you said, Mary, and in a way, it's very important for us to start with ourselves. And I know also Sabrine is asking, how do we get this idea to work, to have the policy makers or the leaders enforce? Let's be very honest.
You have to see an example. If they saw it practically working, they will go for it, because it will make their life easy, actually.
There's that part which is extremely important. And I always say, if we're just talking about it without practicing it, there's no way for it to get across. Now, my response for Mirna and Sabrine, this panel by its own is one way of trying to raise awareness to the importance of well-being. It is one way where we are trying to support teachers in getting higher awareness in order to go to their leaders and talk about it more. Now, that being said, also, we have to admit, lately the attention to well-being has become more important, and we have seen this getting into the component of accreditation and licensure, isn't it? And I think this is extremely important. Most accrediting bodies nowadays, even at the university level, if they are the visits, the on-site visits, when they speak with professors, the visiting team, they're always asking about what's your workload, what's happening on a daily basis. And we as educators and we as people on the ground, there is a statement in Dubai and the UAE when you go to buy, اعرف حقوقك كمستهلك. Know your rights as a customer. Yes? My advice is we as educators need to know our rights, because when we know our rights, we can make use of them to talk about it more. Definitely not with a fighting approach. So I'm not sure, Mirna and Sabrine, if this gives some answer. Haifa, I know you've been raising your hand and I want to get to you. So I'm going to give you the capacity to talk.
Dr. Rana, there is something else I want to share. I don't know if it's going to help or no, because I know it's very hard to express this, especially in a school. And if this is not applicable in your school and you need me as a teacher wants to release my stress and nothing is applicable there is, according to Mr. Hatem Kaman, AI technology. I found a very nice application. It's the good thing about it is free. So
it's good.
So it's the name is Insight Timer. This is the one here. I don't know if it's
okay, not
anyway. Yeah,
we can share it. We can share it later on.
It later. Anyway, it's when you have no one to talk to, or if you have really you want to get after your class, you're overwhelming, something happened, any issue with your coordinator, anything, it has a lot of options. You can just go and do it. Like you can actually, when you register, the application will know about you, what you like about music, what you like about reading, what you like about yoga, what you like about. There is, I think, 20 options. All of them are free. Only 4 minutes for you to release. There's even option to talk to her, like now happened whatever, and I was overwhelming and we got fired and blah blah blah. It's like, will give you advice like somebody's talking to you. Maybe it's not gonna work for everyone, but sometimes maybe it's gonna work. You need to talk to somebody. So it's like a merge of AI and if you have no colleague, if you're new at the school, so you need somebody to talk to, I think this application will give you the timer that you want for 5 minutes to think about 5 minutes, your own thing, to get out of your zone and go back again to your class or your discussion in a school.
Thank you, Mary. This is very helpful. I'm going to upgrade Haifa because she's had her hand up just to see what she has. Yes.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
I want to highlight something very important, in my opinion, when we talk about policymakers and well-being. It is important that the school approach to making to well-being is to actually have the right policy, because like an example, in one of my previous schools, their approach to well-being was to subscribe to that third-party company that does well-being surveys. And what happened, we ended up as teachers having surveys every 2 weeks. So instead of contributing positively to well-being, teachers started feeling that this is becoming a burden, because every 2 weeks they actually have to answer to a survey. And what was happening is no one was doing anything with the data eventually. So it was like ticking the box. So having the right policy is important. And I agree and disagree about starting with yourself, because as good as it sounds that we're starting somewhere, what happened, because also from experience, the end user or the people that we're dealing with are the students, and then students start having those teachers who they like a lot and they love to have lessons with, and those teachers who they don't like at all. So this inconsistency in school start to appear, and it affects the students and they don't know why. And just because they're heard somewhere and they're not heard elsewhere, and because there's no consistency. I mean, it's good to start somewhere, but it's very important to try to have it consistent among all staff. Otherwise, like, the teachers won't understand why is this happening.
Thank you, Haifa. Very good points raised. And it's always important to have the system-wide and agreement, but we are all human beings, I think, and there is no particular one size fits all after all. I want to go to
Just last
Malek.
one before I leave, just one, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes that we forget that the parents are very important in this formula, and we forget to educate them. And sometimes students feel heard in the school, not heard at home, and that's creates a conflict as well.
Yeah.
Extremely. Very good points raised. Thank you. And I want to go to Malek, because you did seem on a couple of occasions that you wanted to say something.
Yes, regarding I hear the question regarding how to change the policy makers. Like, depending on my experience, I found that like anything to be changed on the ground, it need to be changed in the mind before. So even for the policy makers or for the school leaders, understanding, like, for example, let's say teachers are expected to do a high work. So they need, for example, a high amount of energy to deal with all the responsibilities among them. So understanding like what fuel the teachers, what strategies, even for example, for school leaders, sometimes many things are hidden because like it is common to see well-being like a slogan, not more, but rather it is a skill. Sometimes like, it is not a checklist, for example, to be done occasionally. It is it should be a culture implemented in the school, as Mr. Hatem mentioned. So it is, in fact, not something, for example, trending, for example, today or later we will forget it. It is should be based on science. So when we think about well-being as something based on the science, and school leaders and policymakers understand the science behind the energy that fuel the school, so they are more likely to go for some small steps. And also, always I recommend that, as Ms. Haifa mentioned, parents are very, very important to be included. So organizing workshops for parents to educate them about how, for example, the meals of their kids, how it is unhealthy, how it is driven their behavior to become, for example, extra energetic, or for example, one of the common problems in the school, for example, to see in many schools, it is the sleep deprivation. All the many students come to the schools who are very sleepy. So this is a 90%, it is a parent responsibility, not a school responsibility. So if parents, for example, do not encourage their kids to go to bed, for example, at 10 a.m., so this is need to be a culture to educate also the parent about it. Also depending on the nutrition and the exercise. Look, everyone see like exercise is something occasional, while exercise for kids at all should be something essential in their daily routine and their school journey. So understanding, from my point of view, understanding the science behind the well-being will help everyone to become more likely to take the actions or to change the habits that will contribute later to a changing in the behavior in the classroom or in the school.
Thank you. Thank you, Malek. I'd like to move to the next part with regards to the strategies. I'm going to jump to the strategies so that we can benefit from our discussion. There's a lot that we can talk about, current state, concerns, and whatnot. But Hatem, my question for you, similar to what Mary gave an example of one digital tool, are there some digital practices or tools that you can recommend for teachers and students where they can apply in their own classroom, in their own life, or in the context of the school that can benefit the well-being? So let's focus on specifically those tools that you think could be helpful.
Sure, definitely. So I will mention some tools I used to use and I see effective. Definitely, there is a lot of applications out there, and I encourage everyone to explore. And I do agree that sometimes we look for a free application, but myself, I do invest in buying and purchasing applications because sometimes there is big value for small amount of money paid. So I will start with an application. Actually, it's a survey. I know that we don't like the term survey, but this survey particularly is an amazing start to start building a positive, a more encouraging environment in the classroom. So this survey, it's called the Character Strength Survey. Actually, I took it from the Positive Education book that I've read. And mainly the Character Strength Survey, to give you a little bit about it, it's a website. You can just go there. You can register your school. Okay, I've done it for one of my classrooms. And you share it with your students. Now, what's good about it is the character strength, if you don't have any idea about what it is, it puts 24 characters of the positive personalities in humans. So if I want to start approaching students in a positive way, I'm not speaking only about, because in order to reach well-being, I need to have a kind of foundational positive environment. I need to take care of their emotional and psychological aspect, because some students are very difficult to be approached. They don't accept maybe from us an advice, and sometimes they don't think this is part of a lesson. I teach physics. Why do I have to go and tell them about their health? You just teach me physics. So I've done this practice with one of my sections, grade 9. The character strength survey, students will answer some questions. What's good about it, it will put them their top 5 character strength, which might be courage, which might be brave, which might be, for example, helping others. And guess what? There are students who struggle academically. And due to the pressure they get from their parents, from the society, they are labeled that they are not good at math, they are not good at science, they are lazy students. This will impact their self-esteem, impact their confidence. So the character strength survey, it will tell those students that you are good at 1, 2, 3, 4. So they start recognizing that they have positive character. And this is a very good start to give those students confidence again. And it's a good, let me say, a start point in order to add more application on top. So this is a good practice for positive education, taking care of psychology, positive environment. The second application quickly is called Focus Plant. It's an app, you can find it on Android, or this is mainly in order to enhance focusing. Going back to what we mentioned at the beginning, at the challenges that technology brought, which is distraction, Focus Plant is a gamified application, but adults use it. I use it sometimes when I struggle with a lot of tasks. What it does is you put this application, it's like a countdown timer. But it doesn't work as only minutes moving down. It's like raindrops moving. And the more you spend on it, the more water you have to water a plant. And this plant starts to grow. So actually, what you see in this very smart engineering in this app is you can see the time you're spending focusing on a task as a plant growing. And to be honest, data is very important. And due to technology advancement, we can collect a lot of data about our body. One example is the smartwatch. Before you have to go to the doctor to check your heartbeat, your blood pressure, to check a lot of stuff can be brought from the smartwatch from our applications. The point is, do we use them? Do we invest with them? This is what we have to do at a personal level. So third one is in the classroom, I believe that teachers do it. It has a big value. Motivation students by gamification, using quizzes, Kahoot, Quizlet. Don't underestimate these applications. It's not just they are having fun. They are being engaged. They are being motivated in educational context. Again, speaking about emotions, psychology, focus, about gamification. One more application I have in mind, if I do have time, Dr. Rana.
Go for the third.
This is something I used to practice. So 4 years back, I started practicing meditation and I took that to my classroom. Many students liked it and many students didn't. It was fine. I was trying to do a transfer. So a very important practice, which was initiated by philosophers in Greece before, which is called pranayama. And I would like to invite everyone from the attendees to try to practice it in like 30 seconds practice. Pranayama is the mainly the practice of breathing. You might say this is something we don't think about during the day. But if we speak about the biology of stress itself, we can understand how much breathing can reduce the levels of cortisol, which is the hormone of stress. So pranayama, it's a very simple practice. We can encourage our students to do it before an exam. And I wanted to speak a lot about stress because it's a big thing. So pranayama is about just trying to focus on breathing by closing one nostril, taking a deep breath, holding it, exhaling from the other nostril for 5 minutes, for 5 or 10 cycles. You will have its impact directly. And if you are checking your blood pressure, it will move down. This is a simple practice. And there are tools, like for example, Calm application that can support doing prana, or there is Prana Breathe app. Again, there are a lot of tools. These are tools that I have used myself and I see very effective. And we can tell the students to do it at the beginning of the session, before an exam. This is, again, only one aspect. There is a lot, and definitely the discussion continues.
Hatem, the examples that you are sharing are extremely interesting and important. And as you were talking, it made me think of, like, at the present time, our technology is trying to emulate and copy or mimic what we should have been doing, or what our ancestors or the previous generation, or when we were young, used to do. Like this stop, take a breath, it was part of the daily life and the daily routine. But when people were working physically, whether as farmers or when we were walking to school or when we were doing some of those less technology rich aspects, we had those moments of meditation. We had those moments of calmness in the morning. I remember the morning thing of drinking the cup of coffee. Our parents used to have the time to drink the cup of coffee in the morning while seated. Now we have them on the go. So the technology is trying to provide us with the tools to go back to that. But it's very important for us, what you said, Hatem, that we need to know how to use it. Like, how many of us, I know I just learned how to check my heart pressure and blood pressure, or heartbeat and blood pressure on my iPhone recently. So we need to put that effort in there. So thanks for the suggestions and the examples. Malek, from your side, what are some yes, go ahead.
Yes, what Mr. Hatem mentioned is really very important. As a biology teacher, but with a passion for mathematics, so always I look for the data also, and not just the data, we have to read what is behind the data. Now, as Mr. Hatem, for example, mentioned a smartwatch or any tracker that help us to gain data, we have to understand also how to read behind the data. So, for example, many people, for example, hear about zone 2 training exercise or VO2 maximum, for example. So just in briefly, zone 2 is where you are doing, for example, some hard work, but you can maintain it for a sustainable way. If we consider walking is zone 1 and sprinting is zone 5, so zone 2, you are maintaining like a heart rate between, let's say if your heart rate maximum is 160, so it's around 120. VO2 maximum, for example, is the amount of oxygen that your mitochondria will take at maximum before moving to the anabolic way. So anabolic way where you use the oxygen. So you will measure, for example, the VO2 maximum to get these insights. So understanding this data, for example, help us to get insight. For example, for me as 39 years old, if, for example, my biological age is matching someone who is in 60 or someone who's in 30, for example. And this also will help us to make some plan for our next decade. So how we imagine ourselves as we grow up. We will grow up as people, who, for example, who struggle with their health, or people who are maintaining, for example, some daily routines or daily exercise that we have. So understanding this data also is very, very important, and knowing the science behind them to know how to plan for your next decade, inshallah, if we God give us the age. So at least biological age is something we can control if we look to this data, and to take action from now as investment in our later decade. So this is also a very important topic. It need a session by itself to talk about how to read this data. But just to highlight the importance of what Mr. Hatem mentioned regarding reading and using the benefits of technology to help us to improve our health and our biology of well-being.
Your insights, Malek, are extremely important and helpful. And the thing is, as we started, we're talking about the biology of well-being, importance of well-being. Why is it important or helpful to understand our bodies in order to help ourselves and help the students? Now, I want to step back a little bit and just talk about a comment that Karine mentioned in the chat. Now, and this can be a big part in moving and supporting leaders to support the well-being of teachers. Like, honestly, as a teacher myself and as an academic, we know that there is no end to the stress, the struggle, and the challenges and the tasks that teachers and educators are asked to do, whether in K-12 or the university, with all accreditation, with all changes, with everything that is happening. Honestly, if the day was 48 hours, in one day, there'll be more work to be finished. That is there. And the whole idea is for educators to understand better about the biology of their bodies to get to well-being, but there's that connection between the well-being of the teacher and the well-being of the student and the achievement and performance of the student. And realistically, as nasty as it may sound, but bottom line, leaders and managers in schools, as much as they might care about the teacher, their bottom line is what's the impact on the student's performance, on how many students I will get, about the reputation of my school. So that's where do you see, and I would like each one of you to give me a quick insight about where do you see the connection between well-being of the professor, teacher, and that of the student. Mary.
Dr. Rana, I will stick with this point. I will go back a little bit to Ms. Haita's comment. She said something, but I hope I understood correctly. When she mentioned that sometimes if the kids they don't like this teacher or the other one, so they will be compared between, because when I said that you can start with yourself, so maybe they will start to compare between here and there. The parents will start to complain why this is doing this is not doing the same thing, maybe. And it's supposed to be in general environment at school. This is what we all working on. I completely agree with her, but yeah, Miss Haita, you need to be optimistic. Again, I insist to start with yourself. Your kids, your class, yourself, your body, you as a person. When you start with yourself, definitely there will be an impact around. They will see what is happening. So don't just give up because they are not applying this, or they're comparing you with another teacher, or the administration will say, oh, why you did this and why you did that. It's okay. Just try to do it. Start with yourself first. Don't worry about comparison. You just try. You can try either. You conduct a workshop if you can for the teachers to think about it or whatever. So don't give up. Another thing, now there is the PYP, which is the IB system. Most of the schools that they are going now with the PYP or IB, they are going a little bit with the new concept of to know yourself, to the inquire, to care, respect, in deep and open curriculum. It's a little bit going with the well-being, little bit. So hopefully, inshallah, I think gradually it will be expanded. It will be everywhere, but we need to start to do this.
Okay, I'm not gonna give up, Mary. I'm not gonna give up myself. I want to ask you, what's the connection between the learner's well-being and the teacher's well-being, in your opinion?
It's both connected. When I am okay, they're okay. When I'm happy, they are happy. When I can do this in energetic way, they will get the energy from me.
Okay.
When I'm mentally okay, they will be the same. Even if some cases here or there or whatever, you will be able to help different academic level, different behavior issues. You have to start from yourself. Make sure that you can, when you enter in class, that you have the ability to do this. I know it's not that easy. Maybe, oh yeah, Miss Mary, you're talking something, but in real life, it's not gonna happen. No, it's everybody have stress, and it's very stressful. There are some days you cannot do whatever I'm saying. Absolutely, don't give up. If this day you couldn't do anything, it was useless, I couldn't teach, I was pissed off, I was here and there, it's okay. Tell yourself it is okay. Tomorrow I can start a new start. I have to listen to my kids. I have to give them the hug in the morning. I have to, every once in a while, please don't bring this a chocolate. It's not good for you. If the parents are not listening, start with the child. Habibi, what do you think? Tomorrow, everybody, if you get your healthy food, I will let you eat in class. No problem. I have no problem. But it must be healthy. So everybody, tomorrow, bring your healthy food. Everybody. So he will go to his parents asking, no, mama, that's not healthy. I'm sorry, I'm not going to take it. The teacher will not allow it. She give us time to eat in class. There is no issues, but it must be a healthy food. So
thank you.
Don't give up.
Thank you, Mary. Malek, what's the connection between the well-being of the teacher and the well-being of the students, in your opinion?
For me, I see the teachers like, let's imagine the school, for example, something that happened on the surface. Everything in the school happened on the surface. Now, teachers are the backbone of the surface. Like, imagine them as, so they are the backbone of anything happening in the school. So what's happening for teachers is directly impacting what's happening in the classroom. And as Ms. Mary mentioned, an energetic teachers will transfer this energy because as energy will flow, it is viral. So student will be impacted directly or indirectly, and even parents, and it is the ripple effect of one teachers that transfer to student, transfer to parents, parents sometimes transfer to the community around. So another point, like as Ms. Malek also, I insist on what she said. Well-being for me is a personal responsibility supported by school. So for example, or any organization.
Exactly.
But for me, according to my reflection, it is a personal responsibility. Let's say 80%, your responsibility, supported or no sometime, but the outside. But you have to make sure that the 80% is covered by you, by your daily action, your daily routine, your daily behaviors that you will have. Knowing this, student will realize that, for example, this teacher is taking care of his health, is looking, for example, to take care of us, is sometimes spreading the word between other colleagues. So talking about sometime or supporting other colleague if you can. So this is also very important. For example, last term, I organized a workshop for the colleagues about the health triangle that we discussed earlier. So sleep, exercise, and nutrition, how it impacts their behaviors. And later, a lot of teachers, for example, came to ask or to change some habits. And we have this chat now daily that we can support each other by ideas or by experience. So always we have to start by ourselves as personal responsibility. Of course, schools who support us, this will be so great. If no, we have to make sure about our responsibility. And as we have this energy, we have to transfer for student. And student will highly appreciate this. Based on my experience, they highly appreciate, like, you coming to the school with high energy, you transfer this high energy, and you keep supporting and helping them with your insight or your energy in the classroom. And of course, this will be reflected on their learning. So indirectly, they are more likely to be taking action. So for example, one of the example I may say, like one of my students came to this class every time sleeping. Now I have a personal discussion with him, and knowing like he's spending a lot of time on social media. So, and I start my conversation. Now we are trading your hours for what? Are you planning a project? Are you doing something important? He said, no, just Snap and TikTok. So he's keeping his mind busy in useless things. And then I have this normal discussion, like you are trading something with your sleep, and the sleep is impacting your well-being like this. So in a 5-minute discussion, he starts to change his behavior and to become now more energetic in the class. So this kind of conversation we have to have with student, with colleague, with everyone, provide us with the knowledge and spread this knowledge for others also.
Thank you, Malek. Hatem, where do you see the connection?
First of all, Mary and Malek, they mentioned it all, but what I would say is I always see teachers as leaders, and teachers must see themselves as leaders, despite of what other positions exist at school. Teachers are the leaders, and they need to build a kind of business-like ecosystem in the classroom. And when we say business in the education terminology inside the classroom, it's not like a business operating model. No, it's like a cooperative environment in the classroom. So I see when teachers achieve to build this kind of exchange, feedback environment in the classroom, they truly play the role of a leader in the classroom, in the way they approach the students in a positive way. Definitely, there is 100% correlation between how teachers feel, how they process, and how they believe in well-being, and how they transfer it. And we all agree in this panel that there is a process of transfer of experience, not just knowledge. So I believe that we need to break the rules. We need to think outside the book, outside the curriculum. And I speak about my own experience just to wrap up. I used to go to the classroom. Sometimes students are overwhelmed in the last session. And in my plan, I have to do an assessment, a quiz. This is just one example. Imagine the amount of stress, the amount of annoyance those students are having. They are passionate about going home. They are willing for the session to end. And then the teacher comes with an assessment or a pop quiz. Sometimes we have to respond to what students want for a certain extent. And when I say when the teacher is a leader, they can take those decisions. When I see myself a leader, I can say, no, I'm not giving them today a quiz, even though this was planned, but I don't want. I will take the decision in order to let them, to discuss with them maybe about the day, to reflect. So what I would say is, think as a teacher, think as a leader. You can take the right decision in order to support your students' well-being after you support your own well-being.
Thank you, Hatem. This relates to a question that came in the questions and answers by, let me tell you, it related, okay, it was by Fatima Al-Huda. What myths about stress, resilience, or well-being would you like to see debunked about educators? And my response to that was the myth that we are powerless. We are not powerless. We can do a lot of things, and this is totally in line with that. Now, all your insights are amazing, and I really appreciate it, because I think we're all in agreement that when we are in a good shape, we're better able to give our students, and they are better able to achieve. And if I want to go back to the analogy of the car and the body as a machine or a car, I would say when we're not cars, but when the car is good and in good shape, the journey is nice and is smoother. So when we are in a good place and when our bodies are in a good place, so that our mental situation is in a better place, the whole journey, the whole learning experience for the students will be better, which I think just relates to everything that you were saying. I guess there's so much that we can talk about, and I'm just aware of the time. We have 15 more minutes, or maybe less, 13. And I'd like to open a couple of the questions that came in the question and answer. One that is extremely interesting, and it relates to some of what was mentioned, is a metaphor by Karine. Education without well-being is a tree trying to blossom in a drought. If we fail to nurture the roots, which goes back to Hatem, what you were saying about that application, what do we teach the learners standing beneath its branches? To grow or merely to survive? What are your comments on that? What are we trying to actually teach our students?
I would say to flourish in whatever they do. I will always take the topic of well-being as something that lifelong learning they are taking outside the school. But because we have this structured room that we can have influence, this is our job as educators to do. So definitely flourish in life. This is my opinion in that.
Somebody else has something?
Yes, I may
Please
say something like very useful for me was, and I hope that every teacher will consider also. Like anything, this is mathematically, anything above 0 compound. So let's say 1 power 1 million will stay 1, but 1 power 0.1, it will, for example, over 365 days, it will be 37, the answer. So, for example, any improvement that is done by only 1% to any side of our well-being, this will compound with consistency. So I always encourage teachers, no matter what is your situation now, you have to start small, sustainable action that will compound over time. So it's, for example, you are sleeping at 12. Try to sleep at 11:30. Try to sleep at 11. Try to improve gradually, for example, your sleep. If you are not exercising, try to exercise, implement some training session. Your nutrition, if you are not preparing your meal and you are relying on any things that come to your side when you are hungry, try to prepare once per week your meal. So this small change will start to reflect on the biology of well-being of teachers, and of course it will be reflected on the classroom with the student. So always I see, for example, teachers sometimes disappointed from, especially that the confusions that they hear from social media. A lot of confusion are right there. But my perspective for health is simple. We have to simplify things. We have to prioritize our well-being in terms of sleep, of exercise, of nutrition, and try to avoid a lot of confusions that comes as trending, or especially diet or anything. Try to simplify. Everyone's perspective for well-being is unique. Everyone should find his way for his well-being. Not that's something you can generalize for anyone. Find what is working for you, and then try to be consistent with this and to improve day after day.
Thank you, Malek. Excellent points. I have a question by Rana Swaydan. Her question is, would it be better to integrate the importance of well-being through PE sessions at school since it's related to health and nutrition? What are your thoughts? Who would like to take that question?
I think this is definitely supposed to be part of the PE objectives or goals that they have to achieve. I would just add one more point is, the health that we look after most of the time is the physical health, but definitely there is the emotional, social, and mental health. And this is something I think we need to raise awareness more on in PE sessions and in other subjects. Yeah.
And Malek, you had something, and then Mary, if you don't mind.
Also, yes, also like what I'm trying also now is to encourage also biology teacher, not only because we are closely related. So health teacher, biology teacher, PE teacher, like we are looking for the physiology of the body. So we have like a common responsibility to at first be the role model of what we are talking about, and then try to transfer this knowledge or this application to it. So it is not just for PE teacher. I find it a responsibility even for health teacher and biology teacher, and sometimes any other teacher that maybe, for example, sometimes you find a math teacher who is more involved in health and nutrition than any other else. So anyone who is doing the research, who is trying to improve his best, he is invited to share his knowledge with others. So it is the collaboration that make the great impact.
Thank you. Mary?
I just have one thing to say related to the same topic. According to our practical situation, according to after Corona, I think everybody can learn the book by themselves. So it's okay. The kids stay in our classes more than 8 hours with us, with the teachers. So well-being now, it's part of the things that they really need from us. So it's not optional anymore. It's not optional anymore. They can do the academic. They will learn. They will learn. They will learn how to read. They will learn how to write. They will learn how to do math. They will learn this. But some topics they will gain it from us, from school, from social life. Again, I'm gonna go with the students has to be, it's a must that they feel emotionally secured, mentally balanced, and socially connected. This is for sure. We have to try to do this with them. I will share with you, doctor, after a while, different curriculums from different schools. You can maybe share it with them. They don't have to copy exactly the same thing, but they interpret the things according to PE English, biology, math. For somehow they try to manage this. So maybe they want to have a look how it looks like in different schools, so you can have an idea how to use this. I'm not gonna tell you go and offer it for your school now, but again, you can from your class, your own class, you can use it in PE, in social, in English, or you can get an ideas how it looks like. So in different from different perspectives. So I think it's very important for us to take care of our kids um, emotionally, socially, mentally. It's very important. Academically, they will be fine. They will be able to learn. Corona approve it. They can.
Thank you.
A big issue, but they are with us. They need something different. So yeah, that's my point.
Thank you, Mary. And you are, I guess this is a great note to come to a conclusion with the fact that we will be sharing whatever, and we will be continuing this discussion online through edubridges platform. The thing is, these panels are just the start. I always say it's the start of the discussion, especially with a topic as big as well-being. And I would like to highlight extremely that my perception, and I believe you all agree, that when we're saying biology of well-being and well-being, we're not talking about the just physical part. It came across more than once throughout the discussion, but I do want to extra emphasize that when we're talking about well-being and the biology of well-being, because guess what? Psychology is totally controlled by biology. And for anybody who had the experience of any hormonal imbalance here or there, you totally know what it means, how the biology actually impacts the psychology and the well-being and our ability to continue. Yes, Mr. Malek.
Yes, as you mentioned here, like I can give a small example. Like when you say about biology of well-being, it's about the biology of emotional, mental. Now, for example, when you understand how, for example, insulin, it is common to hear that it is a hormone that regulates the blood sugar. But this is, in fact, this is a hormone that have many, about like 200 function in the body beyond the regulation of the blood.
Yes.
For example, a high insulin will increase the cortisol. So you will have higher chronic stress and inflammation. It will lower the glucagon. So you will have become harder to burn fat. It will decrease, for example, the leptin hormone, which is the fulfilling hormone. So you will feel more hungry. It will, for example, in female, will increase the testosterone. So that it will lead sometime to the PCOS with females.
Yes.
And the male, on the other hand, so this is it will reduce the testosterone, so they will have other sexual problems. It will increase sometime the increase of the insulin will increase some growth hormone that accelerate aging. So this is something we need to provide. And another effect, like many people also not get, that insulin high will suppress the melatonin. So when the insulin is high at night, this is a signal for the melatonin to delay its connection to the nerves, so they will have poor sleep, or their sleep cycle will be interrupted. So a lot of biology is behind our mental, physical, and emotional health.
Thank you, Malek. And this is a perfect, I think, conclusion to highlight seriously the importance of the biology of well-being. I really thank each and every one of you. I thank all our attendees, and I would call for everyone to join us on the edubridges community. The recording of the presentation and the panel actually will be available on Monday. And in that space, we can continue our discussion, because there's so much And I would love to hear from everyone in that space about examples of how we can support well-being in our schools, because through that we are supporting the well-being of ourselves and our students. Thanks a lot. Really appreciated, and wishing everyone the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much.